Alright, welcome back. Linkage institutions. We're going to look at barriers to third-party success. Alright, so on the left-hand column, those are three things that we have. Those are features of the United States electoral system as it is. We have plurality system, we have a winner-take-all system, and we have single-member districts. Those three things make it very difficult for third parties to survive. The things that we don't have are on the right-hand side, and these are things that would help third parties if we had them, but we don't. Okay, and so we're going to go into these with more detail, so don't worry about it right now. Okay, here's our first one, plurality system. So the idea is whether we have a plurality system or a majority system. And we have a plurality system. This is something that can be a problem for students throughout the year. So hopefully we can get this down right now in the beginning, and we'll be good on it the rest of the way. But I've noticed this is something that always tricks people throughout the year. The real question is, how do you win an election at the federal level in this country? Do you need a majority of the votes, or do you just need the most votes? And the answer is, well, we have a plurality system, so all you need is the most votes, even if that is less than 50%. You do not need to win a majority of the votes to take office in this country in federal elections. All you need to do is beat the other candidates. So if you have 41%, that is not a majority. If second place is 40% and third place is 19%, well, you have 41%. That's more than anybody else, so you win and you take office. That is what we have in this country. We have a plurality system. We do not have runoff elections. I would highlight plurality system, by the way. We do not have runoff elections or a majority system. Majority system is where you need to win a majority. So if you have that same result, 41 to 40 to 19, well, nobody won a majority. So if nobody wins a majority, you have to have a second election. And that election is called a runoff election. It's only with the top two candidates. The third place candidate, they're out. They're not part of that election. So you would just be voting between the 41% versus the 40%. Alright, so you see the ice cream flavors there. The point of that is, here's, in my opinion, a simple way to think of this. You have 25 people in your class. We're going to vote for ice cream flavors. And I'm going to keep the flavors really simple so I can keep track of them. Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry. Those are our three flavors. Chocolate and vanilla, those are the two major parties that they represent. Strawberry is like the third party. Okay? Chocolate comes in first place with 11. Vanilla comes in next with 10. And then strawberry has 4 votes left over. They have everything else. Okay? So 11, 10, and 4, 25 votes. Now, no candidate received a majority. In our electoral system, chocolate would win because it had the most votes, even though it wasn't a majority. Okay? That's how we have it. So strawberry gets nothing for all its hard work and getting the 4 votes. In a majority system, we'd have a second election. And so now it would be chocolate versus vanilla. You can't vote for strawberry anymore. But here's the thing. Who is actually going to decide who wins between chocolate and vanilla? Well, if you think about it, it's the strawberry supporters. They now have the power. So what that means is that perhaps the strawberry candidate, they can extract some kind of promise from either chocolate or vanilla, and they can get something that they want, even though it's not their whole platform and it's not all their ideas, but they can get some kind of support from one of those two parties, because whoever strawberry votes for, they're going to win, because strawberry can make either chocolate or vanilla win. So what is happening here is, even though the third party still loses, the third party is having some degree of influence on this election, more than they have otherwise. Okay? So we have plurality, which doesn't support them at all, gives them no reason to really run. We don't have a majority system. We don't have runoff elections. Okay, another couple of barriers. We have winner take all. Winner take all. If you receive one more vote than anybody else, you win all of the state's electoral votes. So this is part of our electoral college, which is coming up very shortly. It's going to be explained in a lot of detail. But for now, state of Florida has 29 electoral votes. If Hillary versus Trump, if Hillary wins by one single vote, she takes all 29 of the electoral votes. Trump would get 0 of them because we have a winner-take-all system. And if you think about that now to a third-party candidate, so Gary Johnson, Libertarian, or Jill Stein from the Green Party, they're going to win some votes in Florida, but they are not going to get any electoral votes because it is extremely unlikely that they would actually win more votes than Hillary or Trump. On the other hand, so what we could have that we don't that would help them is if we had proportional representation. So you could apportion congressional seats or electoral votes according to the percent of the vote won by each party. So now if, let's say, the Libertarian candidate Gary Johnson, if he got 8% of the votes in Florida, as it is with winner-take-all, he would get 0 electoral votes. If we had proportional representation, now he would get 8% of the electoral votes in the state of Florida. Again, it gives him something. So he probably still isn't going to win, but he gets some kind of reward for that, and he can influence the election and have power in other ways. Another barrier to third-party success, single-member versus multi-member districts. I think this is the easiest of the three. We have a single-member district. That means that in each district in the entire country, there are 435 districts, and everybody gets to go on election day, and they get to vote for one person to be their representative in the House of Representatives from each district. The fact that we have single-member districts, the third-party candidate is unlikely to come in first place among and beat both a Republican and a Democrat. If we had multi-member districts where each district chose, let's say, 2 or 3 or 4 congressmen from each district, then yeah, obviously the minority party, the third-party candidates have a much better chance because now instead of picking 1, we're picking 2 or 3 or 4. So, they're much more likely to come in second, third, or fourth place than they are to come in first place. But again, we don't have multi-member districts. Rather, we have single-member districts. And finally, these are just kind of some assorted barriers to third-party success. Ballot requirements. So you have to pay money to get on the ballot. You can't just automatically get on the ballot for an election. You have to pay money. You have to get petition signatures. That's really, really easy for Democrats and Republicans. They are so large. A lot tougher for third parties. We already touched on this, but the Electoral College, you have to win the most votes in the state to get any electoral votes. Already talked about that. And then you have 3 things that are a little bit more abstract. People feel like they're throwing their vote away because they're not voting for a winner. So a lot of people will end up holding their nose and voting for a Republican or Democrat even though they don't like them because they don't want to waste their vote. They get a lot less media coverage and they get a lot less financial support, and all of these things continue to act as barriers for third-party success. And this has been a La Money production.